And it's because in Australia we are so lucky and we don't need to look at the air quality, but in China people do look at it. And I was kind of just saying, oh, like there's so much smog everywhere. In Sydney and in Australia it's like the sky is clear, the sky is blue, and it made me think how fortunate we are.
Later.
最近，一位澳洲华裔女孩回国旅游的剔透短视频在外网引发了不小的争议。她从小在澳大利亚长大，时隔多年以成年人的身份回到中国，本以为是一场寻根之旅，结果却变成了一场自带外宾滤镜的疯狂吐槽大会。在她的镜头下，中国充满了让她难以忍受的文化冲击。从广州高铁站里抢座位的低素质人群，到让他觉得快要窒息，必须戴上 N95 口罩的雾霾。最让他无法接受的是脏臭蹲坑厕所，以至于说宁愿在野外解决。还有随处可见的二手烟和密集的监控摄像头。真实的中国似乎跟很多旅游博主吹嘘的完全不一样。虽然他口口声声说这是客观的文化差异，但更多时候让我觉得他像是一个高高在上的文明指导者，对中国的种种都带着西方的偏见。显然中国很多地方完全比不上澳大利亚，来看他说的是否真的有一定道理。
As an Aussie-born Chinese, these are some culture shocks I experienced when I travelled to China on holiday for 2 weeks. So I have been to China before as a kid, but I feel like as a kid you don't fully take everything in. So this was my first time travelling back to China as an adult, and there were definitely some culture shocks to be had. The first thing is literally the first experience that we had getting to China. We flew from Sydney Airport to Guangzhou Airport, and we had to take the train from Guangzhou Airport to Hong Kong. My dad and I were just sitting on the chairs on the train with our luggages. Everything was fine. As soon as we left the airport, we got trampled on. I guess this is pretty common, in rush hour on the train in China. The doors opened after we got out of the airport. Hordes of people were rushing in. Not only were they rushing in, these two men were like fighting over the seats. Well, everyone was fighting for a seat. Everyone was trying to get a seat, which I understand. It's early, you want to rest. But they were literally pushing and shoving each other so hard that they literally pushed my dad and I apart. So we were like literally separated. One guy literally sat on my lap, stepped on my feet to try and get to the seat next to me, like literally sitting on my lap. And I was like, what is going on? I was like, oh my God, this is really like uncomfortable. The younger guy pushed the older guy out of the way and then got the seat. My dad and I looked at each other like, what the hell? My dad was born and raised in China. He left China when he was a teenager. That was also a shock for him. Another culture shock is the smog that's there. Now, when I looked at my weather app, I saw this thing that said the air quality index, and I was like, oh, I've never seen that before. And it's because in Australia we are so lucky and we don't need to look at the air quality, but in China people do look at it. And when I was in Hong Kong, actually, my family friend was with me, and I was kind of just saying, oh, like there's so much smog everywhere, like I can see it in the air, like the air felt heavy to breathe in. I had to whip out my N95 mask at one point because I was like, I literally feel like I can't breathe. That's probably really privileged of me, but the smog was pretty bad and I felt like my lungs were just screaming. And something that my family friend told me when I was talking about the smog, something that she said that really kind of made me feel really sad was, she was like, oh, but it's everywhere, like smog is everywhere. And she's like, anywhere you go there's gonna be smog, meaning like everywhere around the world. And I was like, no, it's not. Like in Sydney and in Australia it's like the sky is clear, the sky is blue. And it made me think how fortunate we are to have beautiful blue clear skies. Another culture shock that you will experience is the squat toilets. Now, if you've never been to a squat toilet before, I don't mind the positioning. I actually think squatting is the best way to toilet because, it's biomechanically the best position for our body when toileting. However, I cannot deal with the stench and how dirty it is because you're literally wading in like pools of pee and you can see poop stains there, and obviously it's being used so much, so it gets really dirty and it can't be cleaned as frequently as it needs to be. It is a horror, and for someone that's like very sensory sensitive to like smells, I was just like, ooh, can't deal with the smells. There's also no toilet paper, so you have to make sure that you bring a packet of pocket tissues in your pocket, otherwise you're not going to have any toilet paper. And there's also limited soap, so you always have to bring hand sanitizer with you. I'm also a bit of a germaphobe, so I always like washing my hands and sanitizing my hands. I used to work in a hospital, so I think that's just ingrained in me. But yeah, make sure you bring hand sanitizer because there is no soap in those toilets a lot of the time. The best toilets I did see, surprisingly, were actually in the village that my dad is from. We went there and the village toilets were still squat toilets, but they were really clean because no one was using them. So I actually didn't mind that. That was kind of slay, and there was no one around, so I felt good. Like, I honestly would rather squat in a bush than go in like a city squat toilet in China because it's just so dirty. I can't even handle public toilets in Australia most of the time. I try to avoid them as much as I can because I just hate how disgusting they are. So yeah, squat toilets are definitely a no-no for me in terms of how dirty they are. But not the squatting. I do love the squatting. I think it's a great position. Another culture shock for me is the cigarette smoking everywhere. Now, I obviously am quite against smoking because I just think it's bad for your health, and I also think it's really kind of inconsiderate to other people because you're like breathing in passive smoking, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm already getting the smog air quality and now I'm breathing in cigarette smoke. And even when I was in Zhenggagai, which is in the mountains, I was like, yay, mountain air, can finally breathe in this fresh mountain air. All I got was cigarette smoke air. People smoke in restaurants, and I know it's a cultural thing. My dad's family used to all smoke, but they've stopped now that they've moved to Australia like years ago. I feel like the cigarettes in China also are more pungent than the ones in Australia. I don't know, they have a really strong stench that you can smell them from really far away. And I know people in Australia still do smoke. I hate, smelling it out and about, but I feel like because we have like non-smoking areas and smoking areas, it's a little bit more segregated and people aren't allowed to smoke indoors, but people are still vaping and stuff in Australia, so can't really win. Another culture shock is the amount of surveillance in China. So everything, like everywhere you go, you need your ID. Like when we were in the rides in the mountains, like every time you would go on a ride or a cable car, you need to scan your passport, so you always had to bring a passport with you. And even the roads, like there was cameras every traffic light that would flash, and it would just like take a picture of the entire road with all the number plates so that the government could track, where everyone was going. So definitely a lot of surveillance, but I did feel really safe with the surveillance. Like I didn't feel like I was going to get like robbed or anything. So pros and cons of that surveillance. But yeah, just a culture shock because I think there is surveillance in Australia, but it's not that intense. So those were the culture shocks that I had in China. Please let me know if you had any culture shocks when you went to China.
Later.
视频看到这里，相信大家都能感受到一种极其强烈的违和感，甚至是一丝悲哀。这位习惯了地广人稀的澳洲华裔女孩，满脸嫌弃地抱怨着拥挤、雾霾和脏乱差，但她所描绘的，根本是一个活在她刻意屏蔽现实的偏见里，停留在10几年前的旧滤镜中国。她大谈特谈空气让人窒息，却刻意无视了当下中国是全球绿色变革的绝对引擎。像深圳早就实现了公交与出租车的100%纯电动化，连曾经饱受雾霾困扰的北京，如今都以惊人的治污速度重现了北京蓝。我们在西北造出的塞罕坝临海，更是给全球生态交出的满分答卷。他捂着鼻子嫌弃乡镇的旧式蹲坑，却对中国近年来轰轰烈烈的厕所革命和世界顶级的基建网视而不见。如今哪怕是偏远地区的高速服务区和四通八达的高铁站，其洁净程度和现代化体验早就将那些常年散发着尿骚味、老鼠横行的纽约地铁和巴黎街头公厕狠狠甩在了时代的后面。他抱怨到处都是摄像头，让人压抑，却假装看不见。当下外网彻底火爆的 China Travel 热潮中，无数真正踏上这片土地的外国顶流博主，正拿着镜头震惊于他们可以毫无防备地在凌晨2点的中国街头撸串。 独自夜跑。而这种免于恐惧的绝对安全感，恰恰是悉尼、旧金山或是伦敦大城市中心深夜里花多少钱都买不到的奢侈品。说到底，这位女孩满篇吐槽的背后，掩藏的是一种极其脆弱的心理防线。很多海外移民其实非常害怕看到一个全方位崛起，甚至在生活便利度上超越西方的中国，因为一旦承认了这种跃升，就会击碎他们当初去西方寻找高人一等生活的自我认同。于是他们只能戴上傲慢的有色眼镜，拿着放大镜去死盯一个14亿人口大国在高速运转中不可避免的局部瑕疵，靠着挑剔和贬低来小心翼翼地维护自己作为西方移民那点可悲的优越感。真正的平视是敢于承认别人的飞速跃升，而不是端起碗吃饭，放下碗骂娘。不知道屏幕前的你是如何看待这种回国专门找茬的偏见视角的？欢迎在评论区留下你的真实看法。